Kris Jenner just turned 70 and the party she threw was absolutely insane, but what happened behind the scenes is even crazier. We're talking about fashion moments that broke the internet, family drama that almost ruined the night, and rumors that are going to change everything you think you know about this family. Stay with me because the tea I'm about to spill is piping hot and you won't believe who showed up and who deliberately stayed away. The party happened last weekend at a private estate in Beverly Hills, and when I say private I mean this place cost $20 million just to rent for one night. Kris went all out. We're talking ice sculptures, champagne fountains, a performance stage, custom lighting that probably cost more than most people's houses, and a guest list that read like a who's who of Hollywood royalty. But here's what the public didn't see. The planning for this party started 8 months ago and it almost didn't happen at all because of family fights that were tearing the Kardashians apart. Let's start with the fashion because that's what everyone saw first. Kim showed up in a vintage Mugler gown that was so tight she literally couldn't sit down all night. Sources say she had the dress altered 3 times and was still breathing through a straw trying to keep everything tucked in. The dress was gorgeous, don't get me wrong, but Kim was miserable. She couldn't eat, couldn't drink, could barely move, and by the end of the night she was in so much pain she had to be helped to her car. But the photos looked incredible, so in Kim's mind it was worth it. That's the level of dedication we're talking about. Kendall wore Bottega Veneta and she looked stunning, but here's the drama. The dress she wore was supposed to go to Kylie. Kylie had picked it out weeks ago, had fittings done, everything was set. But then Kendall saw it and decided she wanted it instead. She called in a favor with the designer, got them to make her one, and Kylie found out the day before the party. Kylie was livid. She ended up scrambling to find something else, and you could see in the photos she wasn't happy. That tension between the sisters was real and everyone at the party could feel it. Kylie ended up wearing Balmain and she looked good, but you know she was pressed about that Bottega situation. Multiple people said Kylie barely spoke to Kendall all night. They took a few photos together for Instagram because that's what the family does, they keep up appearances, but behind the scenes Kylie was done. She left early, didn't say goodbye to anyone except Kris, and posted a shade tweet later that night that she quickly deleted. Someone screenshot it though, and it said something like, "Some people really think the world revolves around them." Everyone knew who she was talking about. Khloe showed up looking completely different again. I'm not even trying to be mean, but her face has changed so much in the past year that people at the party didn't recognize her at first. She's clearly had more work done and the results are starting to look less natural and more plastic. She wore a silver dress that showed off her body and she looked confident, but the whispers started immediately. People were talking about how different she looks, about whether she's okay, about if the family is concerned. Khloe spent most of the night with her sisters creating a united front, but you could tell she was uncomfortable with all the staring. Kourtney and Travis showed up late, which is very on brand for them. They can't go anywhere without making it a whole production. Kourtney wore Dolce & Gabbana obviously because she's obsessed with that brand now. Travis was in a suit but still managed to look like he just rolled out of a tour bus. They were all over each other the entire night and it was honestly too much. Like, we get it, you're in love, but this is your mom's birthday party, can you chill for 5 minutes? Multiple guests said it was uncomfortable watching them because they just couldn't keep their hands off each other even during speeches and toasts. Now let's talk about who wasn't there because that's where the real drama is. Caitlyn Jenner was not invited. At all. And that's causing major waves because no matter what happened between Kris and Caitlyn, they were married for over 20 years and Caitlyn helped raise these kids. But Kris made it very clear that Caitlyn was not welcome. Some of the kids weren't happy about it. Kendall and Kylie especially wanted their parent there, but Kris put her foot down. It's her party and she gets to decide who comes. But that decision is causing problems in the family that aren't going away. Rob Kardashian also didn't show up, and that's interesting because he's been doing better lately. He's lost weight, he's been posting on social media more, he seems like he's in a better headspace. But he chose not to come to his own mother's birthday party. Sources close to Rob say he's still uncomfortable being around the whole family at once. He feels judged. He feels like they look down on him because he's not as successful or rich or famous as they are. So even though Kris wanted him there and even though his sisters reached out, Rob stayed home. That has to hurt Kris even if she won't admit it publicly. Scott Disick was there but he came alone and that was awkward. He's Kourtney's ex and they have 3 kids together so he's still family technically. But watching him watch Kourtney and Travis be all over each other all night was painful. Scott was drinking heavily. He was standing in corners by himself. He left before the cake was even cut. People who talked to him said he seemed really down and kept making comments about how things used to be. It's clear Scott is not over Kourtney and watching her be this happy with someone else is destroying him. The party had performances and this is where things got really interesting. Kris had Sia perform, she had Andrea Bocelli sing, she had a DJ who's worked with Beyoncé. It was over the top in every way. But the most talked about moment was when the entire family got on stage to toast Kris and Kim tried to take over the whole thing. She grabbed the microphone first, she talked the longest, she made it about herself and her relationship with Kris instead of letting it be about Kris. You could see the other sisters getting annoyed. Khloe tried to grab the mic at one point and Kim literally turned away from her. It was messy and everyone noticed. Kourtney's toast was shady as hell. She kept making little comments about how Kris always put work before family, about how she wishes they'd had more normal childhoods, about how being famous came with a price they're all still paying. She was smiling while she said it so it seemed like jokes but everyone in that room knew Kourtney was being serious. Kourtney has always been the one who resents the fame the most and she was using this moment to let everyone know how she really feels. The guest list was absolutely stacked. You had everyone from the Kardashian universe there. All the exes except for the ones who are legally banned from being near them. All the friends who've appeared on the show over the years. All the business partners and managers and publicists who've helped build this empire. But there were also some surprising additions. There were politicians there. There were tech billionaires there. There were people from industries you wouldn't expect to mix with the Kardashians. That tells you how powerful Kris has become. She's not just reality TV royalty anymore. She's got real power and real connections in places that matter. One of the wildest rumors from the night involves a recording that was supposedly made. Someone at the party had their phone out and caught a conversation between Kim and Khloe where they were talking about Kourtney behind her back. They were saying how Kourtney has changed since she got with Travis, how she's not the same person anymore, how they miss the old Kourtney who actually cared about the family business. This recording supposedly exists and people are trying to get it leaked, but the family's legal team is working overtime to make sure that never happens. If that recording gets out, it's going to cause major problems between the sisters. There's also a rumor about Kris and Corey. Corey Gamble is Kris's boyfriend and he's been around for years now, but people at the party said they seemed off. They weren't as affectionate as usual. They were barely talking to each other. At one point Corey was seen having an intense conversation with a woman who nobody recognized and when Kris saw them talking she looked furious. People are speculating that there might be trouble in paradise. Kris has always been very private about her relationship with Corey, but if things are falling apart she's going to have to address it eventually because the cameras are always watching. The cake was another moment of excess. It was 7 tiers, covered in edible gold, topped with diamonds, and cost over $50,000. $50,000 for a cake. Let that sink in. Most people don't make that much money in a year and Kris spent it on a dessert that was gone in 20 minutes. But that's the Kardashian way. Everything has to be bigger, better, more expensive than anyone else's. Kris has built an empire on that philosophy and she's not stopping now even at 70 years old. The gift situation was insane. Kim gave Kris a custom Birkin bag that had photos of the family printed on it. It probably cost $100,000 or more. Kylie gave Kris a vintage Mercedes that she had completely restored. Khloe gave jewelry. Kourtney gave a scrapbook which honestly seemed kind of cheap compared to what everyone else did. The kids were trying to outdo each other with gifts and it became this competition that missed the whole point of celebrating their mom. But again, that's very on brand for this family. Everything is a competition. There was a moment during the party where all the grandkids came out and sang happy birthday to Kris and it was genuinely sweet. You could see Kris getting emotional watching all these kids who exist because of the empire she built. North and Penelope and Dream and all the rest were dressed up and adorable and for a minute it felt like a real family celebration instead of a media circus. But then the cameras started flashing and everyone went back to performing for the public and the moment was over. Let's talk about the men who were there because that's interesting too. Kanye was obviously not there and Kim didn't bring a date. She's been very careful about her dating life lately and she's not ready to introduce anyone new to the family publicly. But people say Kim was texting someone all night and smiling at her phone in a way that suggests she's definitely seeing someone. She's just keeping it under wraps for now. Khloe also came alone, which people found interesting because there have been rumors about her and a new guy, but clearly it's not serious enough yet to bring him to family events. Travis Barker was there obviously with Kourtney and he seemed to actually get along with everyone pretty well. Say what you want about their PDA, but Travis has genuinely integrated himself into the family in a way that Kourtney's previous boyfriends never did. He talks to Kris like she's his own mom. He plays with the kids. He's at every family event. Love him or hate him, he's not going anywhere. The security at this party was military level. There were guards everywhere, metal detectors, a whole system for checking IDs and making sure only approved guests got in. Kris was terrified someone would crash the party or try to cause problems. There were drones flying overhead watching for paparazzi. There were security cameras covering every angle. The family has always been paranoid about their safety, but especially after Kim's Paris robbery, they don't take any chances. This party was locked down like Fort Knox. There's a rumor that someone tried to sneak in. A photographer allegedly got past the first level of security by pretending to be part of the catering staff but was caught before they got anywhere near the main party area. They were removed immediately and threatened with legal action if they ever spoke about what they saw. The Kardashians do not play around when it comes to controlling their image and narrative. The after party was apparently even crazier than the main event. After most of the guests left, the family and their closest friends went to a different part of the property for a more intimate celebration. This is where people really let loose. The drinking increased, the music got louder, and according to people who were there, the family drama really came out. There was apparently a screaming match between two of the sisters, but nobody will say which two. There were tears, there were accusations, there was stuff being thrown. Security had to step in at one point to separate people. None of this will ever be shown on their reality show, but it happened. One of the juiciest rumors from the after party involves Kim and a very famous athlete who showed up late. They were seen going into a back room together and didn't come out for like 30 minutes. When they did come out, Kim's lipstick was smudged and her hair was messed up. People are speculating about what happened, but Kim's team is denying everything and saying they were just talking. Sure, January. Nobody believes that, but Kim is good at controlling narratives, so this story will probably die unless more evidence comes out. Kris gave a speech at the end of the night that people said was surprisingly emotional and real. She talked about how she never imagined her life would turn out like this. She talked about the struggles and the sacrifices. She talked about her late ex-husband Robert Kardashian and how he would be proud of what their kids have become. She talked about her regrets and the things she wishes she'd done differently. For a moment, the mask came off and people saw the real Kris, not the momager character she plays on TV. But then she pulled it together and ended with a joke and everyone laughed and the moment passed. The cost of this party is estimated to be over $5 million when you add up everything. The venue, the food, the entertainment, the decorations, the gifts, the security, all of it. $5 million for one night. Most people will never see that much money in their entire lives, and Kris dropped it on a birthday party. But here's the thing, she can afford it. The Kardashian empire is worth billions. They make millions of dollars every month just existing. So to them, $5 million for a party is nothing. It's a drop in the bucket. And that's the disconnect between them and regular people. They literally live in a different reality. There's also been talk about what this party means for the family's future. Kris is 70 now, and she's not going to be around forever. Who takes over when she's gone? Who becomes the new momager? Kim seems like the obvious choice because she's the most business savvy and the most famous, but the other sisters might have issues with that. There's already resentment about how much control Kim has. If she becomes the official head of the family empire, it could cause major problems. Some people think Kris is grooming Kim to take over, which is why Kim is so involved in everything now. Kim has her hands in every business deal, every contract negotiation, every major decision. She's learning from Kris how to manage this massive operation. But Khloe and Kourtney and the rest might not want to work for Kim the way they work for Kris. The power dynamics could get really messy. The party also showed how much the family has changed over the years. When they first became famous, they were somewhat relatable. They had problems regular people could understand. But now they're so wealthy and so disconnected from reality that it's hard to relate to them at all. A $5 million birthday party is not relatable. $50,000 cakes are not relatable. The problems they deal with now are rich people problems, and while people still watch them, it's becoming harder to actually care about their struggles. But here's why people still tune in. The drama is real even if the circumstances are not relatable. Sister fights are universal. Family tension is something everyone understands. The money and fame are just the backdrop, but the human emotions underneath are real. That's what Kris figured out years ago, and that's why they're still relevant. They give you just enough realness mixed in with the fantasy to keep you hooked. The fashion moments from this party are going to be talked about for weeks. Every outfit will be analyzed and copied and turned into Halloween costumes. Every hairstyle will be recreated by influencers. Every makeup look will launch 1,000 YouTube tutorials. That's the power the Kardashians still have. They set trends. They influence culture. Love them or hate them, you can't deny their impact. But the rumors are what's really going to keep this story alive. The recording of Kim and Khloe talking about Kourtney. The possible trouble between Kris and Corey. Kim's mystery man. The after-party fight. These are the stories that will leak out slowly over the next few weeks and months. The Kardashians are masters at controlling when and how information gets released. They'll drip-feed these stories to keep people interested and keep the headlines coming. And that's exactly what Kris wanted from this party. It wasn't just about celebrating her birthday. It was about reminding everyone that the Kardashians are still here, still relevant, still the family everyone loves to watch and talk about. Mission accomplished.